The screener on the market trend signal site is a very robust screener. We've got a lot of functionality in here. I just want to go through and just show you some of the functionality here, some of the options that you've got in the screener to get you up and running quickly. The default setting when you first open the tab is going to be here under the analysis tools, or the analysis tab, and then the screener tab located here. Once it pops up, the stocks and the share price, the signal is already going to be highlighted by default, as well as the strength rank set at a 95. So these are the default settings. As you pull this up, you can go in and change these as you need to, and then save your various settings. Some of the features here that you can have, or the settings, obviously we've got some of the basics: market cap, volume, PE, dividend yield. If you're going to select a range, then what I would do is, if I'm looking for market cap, obviously my minimum, whatever value I'm going to have there, and then my maximum, I would adjust that. That gives me the range. Otherwise, if I want just anything higher than 1 million for market cap, or whatever, 1 billion, then I'm going to leave the minimum at that number, and then any for my max. That's going to pull anything higher than a billion. Same with the price of the stock itself. I would have $5 minimum. Anything higher than that, I'm going to allow and leave it at that any. If I wanted a range, then I would select whatever range I'm looking for. Stocks between $5 and $10. Now, the exchanges we have are US and Canada. When I change this over, it'll actually pull in a little bit different industry set that the Canadian markets categorize their stocks under. The US is going to do this as well. Now, there are a lot of industries. You scan down and scroll through here. There's more than 100 that are in there. So if you quickly want to say, well, I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, but I want to find semiconductor stocks, I can click there in that search box, and I can start typing semiconductors. Okay, and it'll pull up anything that has the starting of that word or the full word itself. So I can see here electronic, semiconductor, or other things that have the term semi at this point. But if I were to continue that out with a semiconductor, then here I've got it. Or if I'm looking for something that has to do with mining, okay, I can pull that up. It's going to give me all the different ranges, all the different options as far as industry that I've got. It's a nice feature. If you don't know exactly what you're looking for, and you don't know what stocks fit in what industry, you just know I want to look for something that's dealing with, fiber optics or something along those lines, or consumer retail stocks, something like that. I could pull that in and not have to scroll through and try and find every little setting on the industry. That's the search tool. If you just want to clear that out, you can either click in it, or you can click on this delete button here to get rid of that. Now, return on equity, these other ones are return on equity, annual earnings per share growth, and then the last quarter earnings per share growth. So you've got some additional company fundamentals to include, management's efficiency with return on equity. Earnings per share growth annually is a big one. If they're growing year over year, if their earnings per share are growing quarter over quarter, the stock price a lot of times is directly tied to earnings. That's the bottom line when it comes to the valuation of a company. Are they growing? Are they making any profits? Or what are some of those expectations? Is it increasing or decreasing? So if you're wanting to have just that additional layer of fundamentals, you can certainly do that now on this screener. There's also some sales growth over the last quarter that you can add. Now, the reason we have these 4 in here are, we found that historically these are some of the key fundamentals to utilize. You can get a huge amount of overkill when it comes to fundamental analysis, and I've always said that the price always matters first and foremost over any fundamental data anyway. So if the price is going up, all of these other things fundamentally are probably good. So what do I really need to know any of this for? So I've got the ability to do just a little bit of filtering, and many traders come with various backgrounds, things that have worked for them. Fundamentally, they know what they're looking for. Then they can tie that into a strong trending stock, and then they can look at some various comparisons. So we've got those in there for you to be able to filter out some of the various criteria that you might find important, or that you can go through and see, yep, this is working. Stocks that have an ROE above 20, and their annual earnings per share growth is over 20, and the last quarter earnings per share growth is above 20%. These are in percentages, by the way. Earnings per share, these are percent. Annual earnings growth, percent. Last quarter earnings percent. So if I put annual EPS growth at 20, that means that I've got a 20% increase annually in their earnings, and so forth. Same with sales growth. Okay, now beta we've got in here as well. Beta just tells you that essentially the correlation with the market as a whole. So if it's a 1, that means that the volatility in essence of the stock is equal to what the volatility of the market does. So what you can look for at a lot of times is look for a lower beta. So I could set this at 0, and I could set my beta at 0.75. And then I can look for all my criteria. This tells me that the volatility is less than what the market is doing. So in a lot of cases that equates to risk. The amount of risk as far as volatility that I'm accepting is less than the market as a whole. Then I might be able to find some of these other functions that I'm looking for. High ROE, earnings growth, or more importantly for us, we want to use our signals. So stocks that have gone from a hold to a buy, they've got a beta less than the market as a whole. PE, maybe PE is 5 or higher. All kinds of functionality and different ways to sort through the signals. I'm still going to go back and use. I'm looking for those signals, but now I've got another way that I can go in and I can pick that apart a little bit, maybe towards my liking, some of the things that I'm interested in looking at. Now I can also switch this over and go to ETFs. Now you want to make sure that if both are checked, then it's going to sort both stocks and ETFs will be in the results. So I want to uncheck stocks, make sure I've just got ETFs. Now the ETFs don't have a lot of fundamental data. So as you're sorting through some of these, if there's nothing to pull, it's just not going to pull anything. So you're not going to get ROE on ETFs. PE on ETFs, they're just not, they just don't have those. So you're going to be able to pull some of these up by signal, and you'll be able to rank those and go through that. So if I were to click on this and find this group, then maybe I'm going to find I'm not getting any listed in there. So I'm going to uncheck a few of these. Let's just get it back to where we started here. Okay, 5 and any. Let's do 95. So now I'm looking for ETFs, share price 5 or higher, signals hold to buy, strength rank is greater than 95. I select those, and here's a little list that I can focus on. Okay, so it's a very, very intuitive, very easy as far as the user interface and what I'm looking for. Now the strategies implemented on why I'd be looking for what I'm looking for, we're going to cover those in other videos, but for this one, this is just simply a how-to. What's going to allow for that particular criteria to be included is simply the check of the box, and then I've got to make my setting here as well. So I can also, once I've got my setting completed, I can click on Save Screen. It's going to give me a pop-up that I can create a new screen and save that, or I can update an existing one that I may already have, and then the next time I come back to this screen, I can just, from the drop-down box, I can select one that I've already got, and it's going to pre-populate my criteria. So I'm going to get a new group of stocks because it's pulling it for that day. It's looking for the criteria for that day, but it's the criteria that I want to pre-select within my checkboxes and so forth. I don't have to redo that each time. So I can also do some various things here with this screen. I can run my backtest all if you've got that feature enabled, and I've got my ST trend, LT trend. There's also a new one in here that we've got that's the extremes. So if I click on the extreme, on the chart itself, you've got your extreme ranges that we talk about. So if I've got a stock that's in a bullish extreme, let's run a scan here and see if we can get a couple. Oh, we're still set at ETS, but that's fine. It's going to show me these stocks they're in an uptrend, they're still buy, but they're at a bullish extreme, meaning the trend has been going up, and bullish is a bullish trend, but it's at an extreme within that bullish trend. That's what that feature is going to give you. If I were to switch that over and go to bearish extreme, that means that the stock has just been dropping and I'm at a bearish extreme. Let's see if there's any within that 95 range. Probably not. Let's go to the stocks and look for that, and we'll probably get, if I change my strength rank down just a little bit down to 50, I'm not going to get a hold to a buy more than likely. I want to find stocks that are at an extreme on the sell side because it's going down. So maybe I'm looking for a reversal type play. Here's going to be some I'm looking for. So KKD, Krispy Kreme donuts. I click on that. It's at a bearish extreme, which means it's been sliding significantly, and now I'm going to be looking for a potential of at least a short-term bounce. Or if I'm looking to make a bearish trade, I wouldn't necessarily want to do it right now because it's had such a sharp drop. It allows me to find these extremes to be able to trade. There's a lot of risk to reward at the edges, at these extremes on both the high side and the low side. So we've included that so that you could search out these extremes and look for some of those opportunities there. Like I said, there'll be more videos on strategy themselves under the home study area, and you can focus on those. So that's the screener function on market trend signal.